Now, I almost didn't review this laptop for a number of reasons. We're going to get into it right now, but I am so glad that I picked it up to review, and there are some things I need to get off my chest. Number one, this is the Apple MacBook Air, the 15-inch here for 2024 with the brand new M3 processor. Now, I want to pose a question to you. Do you think it's fair here in 2024 for a brand, doesn't matter which brand, of course, to charge $1,700 for a laptop plus tax? Say here in Nevada, it's $1,800. That doesn't include an OLED display, that doesn't have a mini LED display, that only has 60 hertz refresh rate, and only has 512 gigabytes of non-upgradable SSD storage. Again, $1,800 all in. Do you think that is a fair thing for a brand to do to the consumer? Is it a major ripoff, or is it priced fairly? Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is my review of the MacBook Air 15 here for 2024. Coming up.
Now, before we get to the unit itself, I just want to let everyone know, in the interest of transparency and full disclosure, I'm not being paid by Apple. I'm not being sponsored by Apple. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Apple is not getting copy approval. That means you're seeing this video for the first time, just like you. Now, this unit was purchased with my own money. This is not a review unit from Apple. So you know the drill, folks. Let's get this out of the box. Okay, we'll get to the unit in a moment, but of course, we get your MagSafe cord here. It's a USB Type-C to MagSafe, so that is color coordinated with the midnight black. So we'll put that to the side. Let's see the stickers and all that crap. Here you can see you get your MacBook Air, welcome guide, whatever, some information there. And then of course, you've got your midnight color stickers that everybody guess likes, I don't know. And then of course you get your power cord here, pretty compact, and it has two USB ports right there. So you can not only charge with this, with your laptop of course, but you could also charge a peripheral or your iPhone or whatever you have. That's a really nice feature. And then of course, the flip out prongs are right there. So there you go. That is the charging situation. Of course, that is a 35 watts. Okay, so let's put that in here. And of course, we have the unit itself. And as you can see, this is the midnight color here. This will show less fingerprints, but I'm already seeing some fingerprints here. Now, depending on the lighting, you'll get a different kind of bluish color to it or darker color. So that is what we've got here for the useless test of the day. Yeah, you can open it with one finger. Okay, so you can see the back of it. Of course, hopefully it'll do better in terms of fingerprints than years or last year. We didn't do well with that. It showed a lot of fingerprints, but you can sort of see it here, depending on the lighting. And here you can see I've been using this, and this shows a lot less fingerprints to this one. A little bit on this one, not too bad. This coating on it is not better than last year. Apple claims it is. I don't know. Doesn't look like it to me, but that's just me. I don't know. Obviously, this is a smaller footprint. Not that much smaller than this 15-inch, but it is smaller. The MacBook Pro is going to be thicker, right? So that's not a big surprise here. Not a huge surprise that the MacBook Pro is thicker. It has active cooling, whereas this doesn't. Okay, let's get a measurement of the weight. With the unit alone, you're looking at 1.505 kilograms, and that is 3 pounds, 5.1 ounces. So that is for the 15-inch, of course. And then let's get a total travel weight here with the power cord and the power charger here. You're looking at 1.667 kilograms, and that is 3 pounds, 10.8 ounces. Not too bad for a 15-inch laptop, that's for sure. Okay, let's check out the port selection. On the left side is your MagSafe 3 connection, and of course, two USB Type-C Thunderbolt 4/USB 4 ports that are full function. On the right side is just one port. It's a 3.5 millimeter microphone headphone combo jack. No SD card reader, no USB-A port. Pretty lacking in terms of the ports on this, so that is one issue with the MacBook Air. Now, of course, there is no IR camera on here, no face recognition, no Face ID. You'll have to use the Touch ID, and it's a pretty seamless setup here, so let's go ahead and check that out, and of course, get that set up. Now, before we get into what I actually like about this, and there are quite a number of things I like about it. The build quality, the fact that it runs silent and cool, the fact that you get a really nice haptic touchpad, excellent battery life. Those are the positives. But we're going to start off with its biggest negative here that really gets me going, and that is the price. Now, what really irks me and pisses me off is the fact that I'm spending $1,700 or $1,699 plus tax here in Nevada, over $1,800. That only got me 16 gigabytes of RAM, 512 gigabytes of SSD storage. Are you kidding me? That is straight Apple. Why would I only get 512 gigabytes of SSD storage at such a high price? Now consider the Asus ZenBook 14 OLED that I looked at. That one comes in at $1,300. That gets you 32 gigabytes of RAM and a terabyte of SSD storage and an OLED display that is simply superb when you look at it. So I really think the MacBook Air is not a great deal. And also consider one of my favorite laptops of 2024. That would be the Spectre X360 with its gorgeous 2.8K OLED display, 16 gigabytes of RAM, but you'll at least get a terabyte of storage on a really premium device. And right now that's on sale for $400 less of the initial asking price, coming in at $1,230, a straight steal in my book. So the Apple MacBook Air is certainly not a good bargain here for 2024. There's no doubt about it. And oh yeah, you get more ports on those as well. And by the way, both the Spectre and the ZenBook have upgradable SSDs that the user can access when you take off the lid. Guess what? The MacBook Air has no upgradability whatsoever. You're stuck with 512 gigabytes of SSD storage here in 2024. Unless you want to pay the Apple tax and go above that, that is straight bull. And you're probably wondering just how much is that Apple tax? Well, check this out. 512 gigabytes is what you get, right? Okay. Then if you want to go to 1 terabyte of storage, that's an upgrade of $200. Okay. And then if you want to go to 2 terabytes, an astounding $600. Get the out of here, Apple, with that. And that's up to $2,300, and that's not even including going up to 24 gigabytes of RAM, which would bring it all in at $2,500. Yeah, it's outrageous. And please listen very carefully. Under no circumstances should anybody buy the entry-level model here that comes in at $1,299. That only gets you 8 gigabytes of unified memory, 256 gigs of SSD storage. That is just a straight ripoff. Do not buy that unit. And I wouldn't even buy the next tier up with $1,499. Also, 8 gigabytes of memory here in 2024 is unacceptable. Although people are going to argue, oh, it's unified memory. I don't care. You got to get minimum of 16 gigabytes of RAM here in 2024. And speaking of the SSD, the included 512 gigabyte SSD is pretty much slower than any of the Windows counterparts that I looked at. And yeah, you could probably argue that these are pretty much fast enough for what you need this laptop to do. That's true, but at this price point, $1,700 plus tax, I expect faster reads and writes. Now, I would say this is an okay display. It's certainly not a great display, as we'll talk about, but it is a 15.3-inch liquid retina display is what they're calling it. It's an IPS display. It's not OLED or OLED. It's not a mini LED as you'd get on the MacBook Pro. It does have a resolution of 2880 by 1864. That is a 16:10 aspect ratio. It also has a 500 nits of claimed brightness. I actually measured 506 nits, which is a little bit above that. It's pretty good. It's also an HDR display. That's worked out fine, but nothing spectacular about this display. It has a very pedestrian 60 hertz in terms of the refresh rate, no option for higher refresh rate like you get on the MacBook Pro. And I think considering you're spending $1,800 with tax and everything here, this is a lot of money to pay and not get a high resolution or high res display with high refresh rate. So I think that's a big miss here, but it does have good coverage of the color gamut, decent color accuracy, not great. And I think the overall takeaway is this is a very pedestrian display overall. And for those wanting a touch display, unfortunately, you're out of luck. No touch option on the MacBook Air or the MacBook Pros, for those wondering. So that is an advantage, I think, on a lot of these other Windows laptops we looked at. The HP Spectre X360, the Asus ZenBook 14 OLED. They all have touch layers. They both have pen support. And I think that's something that is missing in the MacBook line. But I'm curious to know what you think. Let me know in the comment section below. But there is one bonus you do get with this display. That would be that hideous notch on the top of the display that houses the FaceTime camera. And I would say that really is ugly. And I don't care what you say about it. I never get used to it. It's there and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So there you go. So this is the FaceTime camera on the MacBook Air 15 with the M3 here for 2024, 1080p. What do you think about it? Let me know in the comment section below. There's no IR here. There's no face recognition or face ID. You'll have to use the fingerprint scanner on this to log in, or Touch ID as they call it. So what do you think of that, about this for your video conferencing needs? Let me know in the comment section below. Now, I've said in the past, I'm not the biggest fan of these MacBook keyboards, and the Air here has a keyboard that I just don't love. It's okay. It's certainly comfortable enough to type on for long periods of time, to get documents done, but there are better keyboards out there. I'm a much bigger fan of the ThinkPad keyboards over this. I like the HP Spectre's keyboard better than this, so that's just my thoughts on it. It's okay in terms of the tactility, the key travel, and the overall feedback is decent, but again, I've seen better keyboards out there here in 2024. Now, it does have an ambient light sensor that allows you to get work done in a dark room or a dimly lit environment. I thought it worked fine. It also has a very nice, spacious haptic touchpad that I think is excellent. Of course, Apple has some of the best, if not the best, haptic touchpads on the market. They've incorporated it here. They have it on the MacBook Pro. So I think they did a great job here when it comes to scrolling and doing all the gestures. Everything seemed to work very well. Very responsive. Okay, let's talk performance. And as we know, the M series of chips does very well in single core performance traditionally, and this is no exception, scoring 3144. And as far as multi-core, not quite as good as the Asus ZenBook 14 OLED that we got here, 12,673 versus 11,936. So better multi-core on that one. And then on the Spectre X360 14, it has better single core performance, no surprise there, but again, better multi-core by the HP Spectre X360. So if you're going to do things like Microsoft Office, email, web browsing, you'll be perfectly fine with the MacBook Air. But if you're going to do anything that requires multi-core performance, you're not going to do quite as well. And when I ran the Cinebench 2024, the MacBook Air 15 did better in the single core and not quite as good as the multi-core when compared to the ZenBook 14 OLED and the Spectre X360 14. And heck, when we looked at the Galaxy Book 4 Pro 360, yeah, this has better single-core performance, but barely better multi-core performance, and that's not saying much, because the Galaxy Book 4 Pro 360 was certainly lackluster in terms of the performance when compared to other Meteor Lake laptops. And that's pretty much evident when we look at the MacBook Air 15 and the Book 4 Pro 360 side by side here, as far as the Geekbench 6 results. And when it comes to gaming on the Mac, well, not that great. I would stay clear. If you're any heavy gamer or anybody like that, there are not that many titles that have been optimized or ported over to the Mac line. So if you're any serious gamer out there, stand clear of the MacBook Air. That's my opinion, of course. Now, battery life is pretty phenomenal on the MacBook Air. I'll give kudos to Apple for that. There is no doubt about it. Wi-Fi web surfing test, you're looking just shy of 17 hours. The Wi-Fi maximum brightness test, 6 hours, 42 minutes. Video playback, 18 and a half hours. Maximum load, 2 hours and 38 minutes. These are phenomenal results, and even better than the MacBook Pro 14 that I have here, which is really good and has a bigger battery as well. Now, there is a big benefit, of course, having passive cooling here, no active fans, and that means you won't have to contend with any fan noise no matter what you're doing on this laptop. The downside is performance won't be quite as good as a result because they have to keep the temperatures at bay. As you can see, never getting overly hot in terms of the surface temperatures, even under heavy load. So they did a good job in that regard. Silent and quiet, that is the way we like it, and relatively cool. So I actually think that's really good. Although, again, performance does take a hit as a result. So if you're going to do any sustained heavy workload for more than 10 minutes, I would look at its bigger sibling, the MacBook Pro. All right, now, audio is supposed to be good on this. I haven't tested it yet. We're going to test it together. 6 speakers, Dolby Atmos on the MacBook Air, 6 speakers, Dolby Atmos on the MacBook Pro. I suspect the MacBook Pro is going to be better. I don't know. Let's see what the sound is. You be the judge. You let me know in the comment section below. Now, let's give them a listen. All right, let's wrap it all up. What do I think about the Apple MacBook Air 15 here for 2024? I got to say, it has an excellent build. It's got a nice thin and light design. It runs silent. It's got excellent battery life, very good speakers, a bright display, and good single-core performance. But that's where the good things end and the negatives creep in, because you have to deal with a very expensive product here with no maintenance possibilities, expensive upgrades, as I mentioned, lack of ports, no Wi-Fi 7, so it's not future-proof and you cannot change it out. There's no touch or pen support, lackluster multi-core performance. It's still a major fingerprint magnet, even with this new midnight color that they supposedly did a better coating on. And this is way overpriced for what you're getting. Now, don't get me wrong. This is a good laptop for a lot of people, especially if you're in the Apple ecosystem. You're going to love it in that regard. But for those that are looking to stretch their dollar a little bit more, they'll do much better with the HP Spectre X360 or the Asus ZenBook 14 OLED that I reviewed. Those give you a lot more bang for the buck, a lot more features, and just overall better value, in my opinion. This is just way too overpriced for what you're getting.
So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in that comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I'll do my best to try to make that happen. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. And don't forget to check out my website, amdtechreviews.com. So until next time, this is Andrew, and I'll see you in the next video.